Time, 168 hours a week. It has no respect for our struggles and our loss of valuable time. Let's face it, people with ADD have a really poor sense of the passage of time. This is G.H. Glade for Coaching ADD. We're going to go through a number of steps that can really improve your sense of the passage of time, because good time management really depends on this awareness. And I'm going to save the very best tip for the very end of the video, so stay tuned to the end. Again, that poor sense of time. The problem we have is with a sense of temporal regulation. There are neurologists to say that this is inherently poor given the unique difficulties people with ADD face. What this results in is us living in what amounts to a curvilinear world. We're only sitting on the top of that curve in the present. It implies that it's hard for us to have a recollection of the past and the future. And the takeaway is that it's often hard to learn from those past experiences. And on the other part of that curve is it's hard to see those future consequences. And this leads to an assortment of problems, things like procrastination, things like always being late, missing deadlines. And an interesting one is doing things in just plain the wrong order. Getting a better sense of time relies on 4 separate kind of skill sets and whatnot. The first step is acknowledge the problem. When did you last have time loss? And time loss is any time you ask yourself, oh my gosh, I had the whole morning and I never even got to it. And that it's that sense of time just running through your fingers and asking yourself, where did it go? First questions to ask are, what was the context where I lost that time? What activities was I doing? Next, we want to analyze. Successful time management begins with correctly estimating time. I want you to try a little task. I want you to take several activities, and I want you to write down a guess of how long you think it will take. And then when you do them, see how many minutes it actually took. You know, when I do a construction project, I am so chronic in underestimating the time. You know, I think I can build that deck in a weekend. You know, I knock it out in a couple of long days. I'm always wrong. And I always multiply by a factor of 3 because I've done this way too many times, is sort of taking my estimate and then there's reality. It takes a lot more time. So keeping track of time in the context of what you're doing. I like to suggest time apps. There's one called Toggle, spelled toggle without the E, or Save My Time. But the caveat to these is they're good to use only if they don't interrupt your workflow. Step 3 is awareness. There's something called Parkinson's Law, and that is a task will fill the time that you allow it to have. One of the ways I like people to have that awareness is by use of something called a visual timer. A visual timer lets us actually sort of intrinsically see the passage of time, and that makes you more aware of it. If you give yourself an hour to do a task that reasonably is an hour, you're likely to complete it with this. I use my visual timer all the time. Another step is have a clock readily visible in your workspace. This might be on the wall, or this might be something you load on the screen that you're working on. Step number 4 is adapt. Do you need other resources? Do you simply have too much to do and too little time to do it in? You know, one of the things I recognized contextually is that I hated doing all the bookkeeping stuff to get my taxes ready and all that. And I decided I needed a resource. So I got a billing manager / bookkeeper, and my life is so much better. You know, I lost time because this was something I perpetually hated to do, and I needed a resource. Another step in terms of adaptation is meditation. And you'll see this thread through a number of my videos because I'm a big proponent of this. Research shows that doing meditation regularly improves your ability to maintain attention longer. Another step I like people to do is write a sequence for your tasks. You know, actively thinking about a task that you're choosing to do or choosing not to do makes you feel more in control of your time instead of perceiving it as something that just kind of happens to you. Time just slipped through my fingers. You know, that's an incorrect statement. It didn't slip through your fingers. The reality is time will keep passing, and it's totally indifferent to any of your struggles. So I told you I'd save the best for last. The most important is acceptance. You know, other people have great time management skills, and they are not your yardstick. Your only yardstick is the past you. And that's our comparison. How have we gotten better? We compare only to ourselves because that's the only relevant comparison there is. Comparing yourself to other people is just another good way of beating yourself up. So don't do it. Establishing these disciplines only comes at your own pace. Be kind with yourself. This is new ground and pushing out a growing edge. And don't dwell on the time that you wasted before. That's flowed down the river. You can't do anything about it. No sense beating yourself up about that. But strive to get better. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Better yet, write in the comments. What was your best takeaway from this video? I'd love to see that. I'd love to see you also share this video and go ahead and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. And next time is next Monday when I launch a new video. Until that time, we'll see you then. Take care.